Cool G Rap was part of that too?
Cool G Rap was part of it. How could I
Granddaddy.
forget my man G? Because me
How
and
could you
G,
forget
we
Cool G
started
Rap?
out rhyming before we were even making records at Smitty's. Smitty's was a game room out in Queensbridge that was owned by Big Smitty. You know, Lil John used to open it up at night and pull out the turntables. So G-Rap and me, we was rapping together before Juice Crew was ever formed, before him and DJ Polo. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Granddaddy IU, he was part of that too?
Granddaddy IU came later on down the line. I mean, he was down with us, but as far as being labeled Juice Crew, he was Juice Crew, but it was like in the latter end of the Juice Crew.
Okay.
But he still was down.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Cool G Rap, man, that's one of my all-time favorites right there.
That G-Rap was crazy. He was crazy with it. He the only one I know with a lisp and had a brain surgery and still was spitting like, you know what I mean?
Wait, G-Rap had a brain surgery?
Yes, G-Rap had a brain surgery back in the day.
I did not know that.
Yes, well, G, I'm sorry for putting it out there, but it's the truth, you know what I'm saying? It's like he had something happen where he had water on his brain and they had to leak it out. And he's so funny that when we went to the hospital to check him out, he was like, the doctors had to dig in my brain to see what make me work. See what makes G-Rap tick.
Crazy. Okay.
And this is like he's just coming out of anesthesia cracking jokes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, definitely. So you guys have the Juice Crew. Now, I had interviewed Big Daddy Kane a while back.
MC Shan didn't necessarily care for me at the time.
But what do you mean by he didn't care for you?
I think it was the type of thing where I guess Shan was just uncomfortable with a new artist being down. Because, you know, there would be situations where we had a show to go to and Fly Tie only had one limo and, you know, they're telling Shan what time they coming to get him and he might make a comment like, you know, nah, I drive my car because I know y'all gonna have a new nigga with you.
Yeah. And he had to remind me that I used to call him the new nigga. He said, yo, Shan would always say the new nigga. Because it was like, that's just how hip-hop ego was. You know what I'm saying? Tell that new nigga to do it. I don't want to do it. Tell the new nigga. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't that I didn't like Kane. It was just that MC Shan ego. You know what I'm saying? It was just that competitiveness. That he was the new nigga. I'm the nigga already. Get the new nigga to do it, you know? But Kane and me, we're best of friends now, you know what I'm saying? And I always joke with him. I'll be like, damn, Kane, for real? I used to call you the new nigga. But then we got to figure back then I was getting high so much, I can't remember half of the shit I said. You know what I mean? And ain't no shame in my game to say that, you know what I'm saying? Because I could sit here and name a lot of people that I was getting high with, but I won't do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to snitch on the next man to make me look good. Y'all know who y'all are, but I'll take the heat for it. But everybody was getting high. You name it. Name them.
Well, you were actually doing crack back then.
So was a lot of other people. We were doing crack, we were doing snip, but I never smoked it out of a bass pipe. I always would put it in my weed. You know what I'm saying? I was always scared of that one because I seen what smoking that pipe would do. You know what I'm saying? And then I'd get in the elevators in Queensbridge after somebody be smoking and I just didn't like that smell. But the smell of the woo was a different thing. So I was a prisoner of the woo for a little while, like a lot of other people, you know?
Yeah.
But it was the drug of the era. So it's not like I'm the only one, but I'll take that heat. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. I mean, was PCP big back then too?
No, PCP wasn't even in our thing. It wasn't even, know who did those kind of drugs? The Lower East Side, the Puerto Ricans. They did mescaline and the pills. That was their thing. You know what I'm saying? We didn't do PCP and all of that little tabs and mess. We didn't do that.
Right. Now, so the Juice Crew is becoming like a real force. And the biggest song to come out of the Juice Crew was the Symphony. Now, you're not on the Symphony, and I heard different stories about why you're not on there. So what exactly happened with you in that song?
What exactly happened? I heard the Ace theory, which is false. I even responded to that on the internet. Well, what it
Okay,
was,
wait, for those that don't know, what did Master Ace say?
well, Ace has a thing on the internet saying that I didn't want to do a record with him and Craig G and Kane. But if you think, we already had done Juice Crew All Stars, we had already did Evolution, so he needed to get his facts straight before he even. But that was something that was fed to him through Marley Marl. Marley Marl told him that I didn't want to be on the record with him. But the only reason why I wasn't on that record because I knew better. What Marley would do back then was say, yo, let's go make a tape. Let's go make a tape. Let's go make a tape. Next thing you know, it's a record and you ain't getting paid. So when the day they did the Symphony, we was out at that Marley Marl In Control Volume 1 picture shoot. And so at the end of the picture shoot, he was like, yo, let's go make this tape. Let's go make this tape. And instead of me saying, I'm going to make the tape because I knew what it was, I just went off and went home. I'm not going with y'all to make no tape. Yeah, it was a good record, but I get asked just as much of why I wasn't on the record than why I was. You know what I'm saying? So I still get asked why. And my whole reason was because I wasn't going to get paid for that. So I'm not going to do no more tapes. I already been through being on Marley Scratch, didn't get paid for that. So I'm not going to go, why keep making the same mistake over and over and over? Now here we go, we're going to go make a symphony and I ain't going to get paid? What, I'm going to get a tenth of a writers on that because of so many people? Come on, I could do without it.
Okay, so at what point did you and Marley Marl really start to come at odds over the money?
Why we came at odds? Because he wanted to take half the money on my shows and you ain't really was doing nothing. So that was the early on thing where I ain't need him as my DJ. Because, oh, you want to come do my show with me and you want to take half the money or a bigger share of the money when I'm only singing one song, Marley Scratch, and the rest of them was my songs. It wasn't about him. And so early on in the game, I nixed him as my DJ and I would go on tour with a cassette. I had popped my cassette in and run my show from beginning to the end. Or I would take Luck with me, or I would take whoever with me as a DJ. But Marley Marl was no longer my DJ as far as on shows and none of that.
Okay, you think he felt some type of way about that?
I really couldn't care. He wasn't getting the majority of my money and I'm sweating for it. You got to be out your mind.
Okay, so you come out with a song, and then LL Cool J drops Rock the Bells, which you felt sounded similar to your song, the beat.
Anybody who can mix it back and forth, and how he got that beat. We were on the Jerry Freisen tour at that time. We were on the Jerry Freisen tour, and if you listen to Marley Scratch and you listen to Rock the Bells, you can mix them both back and forth to the same, you know what I'm saying? It's boom, boom, cat, boom, cat, boom, cat, boom, 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 cat, boom, cat. And then you could go to Rock the Bells. It's a well-known fact. That, and how I know, because one day while we was on tour, he had me come to the room and like, yo, Shan, listen to my new joint, listen to my new joint. But you know, that Shan ego kicked in. I ain't even pay it no mind. You know what I'm saying? So I just left it at that. And then come down the line, it's like, oh. And we came from an era where you don't bite anything. You don't bite a person's lyric. If it sounded so close to that person's lyric, you wouldn't do that. If it was his beat, you didn't do that. So I took an offense to him taking my beat. So I made Beat Biter. You know what I'm saying? So that went from there. Simple as that.
So he comes out with Rock the Bells. It sounds like Marley Scratch. Did Marley feel some type of way about that? Because Marley produced it.
Marley didn't produce that. Rick Rubin, I think, produced that. I don't know.
No. Marley produced Marley Scratch.
Right.
So did Marley Marl feel some type of way over Rock the Bells sounding like his beat?
He made the beat to Beat Biter. So he had to feel some kind of way.
Okay. So Rick Rubin did Rock the Bells. You come out with Beat Biter where you call out LL Cool J by name right at the start.
That was my thing.
LL Cool J never...
I started a lot of the beef in the rap game. I wrote a lot of the diss records from back there. I wrote the Steady B, Take Your Radio. I wrote the Run DMC disses. You know what I'm saying? I was like one of the first ghostwriters in the game.
Which Run DMC songs did you write?
I didn't write Run DMC song. There was a diss. There was a Run DMC diss. You know what I'm saying? By Frost. I wrote that. You know, I just was one of them, and you know, I would say your name on a record. Everybody in the rap game knew that. And when we get to the part of where you're gonna ask me about Mr. Letterman, I'll tell you about that, how that came about.
Okay. So you go and diss LL Cool J on Beat Biter, but LL Cool J never responds.
That was a Russell thing. Russell and them didn't want no problems. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that L was scared or none of that, but that was a business decision on Russell's end. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure that L would have did what he did, but it's the same reason why he didn't do what he did is why I didn't do what I did. So I can understand his thing. He might have wanted to do it, but from business or maybe whatever it was, it never happened.
Well, Rock the Bells comes out and it becomes a big hit.
Yes, and we did a show up in Rochester or Syracuse or one of them. And that's the only battle me and LL ever was scheduled to have. The night before this battle, he meets me in Red Parrot and tells me, he says, you better not show up in Syracuse. Not only did I show up in Syracuse, I rocked them so hard because I had Marley cutting back and forth. Rock the Bells, boom, 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 and then Marley scratch. And then I went and took his record off of the thing and took it to the thing and popped it. And it popped while I had the mic in my hand. And the crowd went crazy. But he said he didn't get on stage because Flash and them used some lights. I don't think you could have followed that night, L. You were nice and I love you to death. But after L started getting a little bit of size on him, he used to try and intimidate me. It wasn't going to work. You know what I'm saying? He's going to muscle down. Yeah, I'm still skinny as all hell, and I'm still not intimidated. Love him to death, though.
Okay, so you and LL Cool J spoke after that and met up and everything.
Yeah, we would be in the same studio when Marley was producing his songs, or I'd run into him. I mean, we had a friendship before all of this. We were on tour together. You dig what I'm saying? So it was just like, that was just for record purposes. It wasn't about us fighting and arguing and beefing. Although when he started getting some size and he trying to intimidate, it's like, back up. You know what I'm saying? But it was all in fun. You know, that's what younger kids did at that time.
And that was the cool thing about hip hop back then, is that people would beef with each other on records and actually go on tour together and play it up for the music. You know, it didn't turn into shootouts and everything else that happens these days, you know?
Right, but like you're saying, me and Chris did hundreds of shows together. We never battled, but we did hundreds of shows together where I do my thing, he do his thing. Now, we were in states where it would be just us from New York. We had to save him and Scott LaRock's life. Like the Tuesday, let's say Scott got killed on a Tuesday. That weekend before, we had to save their life in Cleveland, Ohio. You know what I'm saying? We was in a hotel, and the night before, Scott LaRock slapped the shit out this girl in the elevator. She showed up in the morning with a Uzi in her bag, with a whole bunch of cats behind her. She came to me and showed me the Uzi. She said, Shan, you respect me, but I'm going to kill Scott LaRock. Whoa. So how we going to make this happen? We snuck Scott and them in my bus. We let them sneak in my bus and let them take off. So we getting Scott in them bus, and so those people who were trying to kill Scott were following us to the airport in their bus, until they figured out, oh, that ain't Scott and them, that's Shan and them. So we was cool. You know what I'm saying? But it was times where I'm telling you, we had to save their life like that. But we were also in a point where if we was here, we here together. So if South Carolina try and jump us, we gonna go down together. We gonna go down, the ship gonna go down. You know what I'm saying?